Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
We have Dr. Kofi Annan of Ghana, 1998 to 2006. He was succeeded by Mr. Ban Ki-moon of Korea, who is presently the Secretary General of the UNO. Among the functions of the Secretariat of the UNO, we have the following. 1. It handles all correspondence of the organization. 2. It performs the administrative functions of the UNO. Number 3. It prepares the annual budgets on the activities of the organization and implements the program and budget of the fiscal year. Number 4. It provides technical aids needed by specialized commissions of the UNO, and it makes available all the facilities needed for all meetings of the organization. The next organ of the UNO is the Trusteeship Council. This council is made up of the following members of the UNO. A. Member nations of the UNO responsible for administering trust territories. France, China, USSR, Britain, and the USA, which are not part of the nations administering trust territories. The Trusteeship Council supervises the trust territories and guarantees that they are being administered in the right way. The Trusteeship Council also helps in promoting the economic, social, political, and educational development of these people. Number 3, it also works towards encouraging these trust territories for a sustainable self-government. It also receives reports from states administering these trust territories and petitions from the administered territories, and to study these reports for consideration. The Council pays regular visits to territories officially for assessment. I would also want to let you know that today, the Trusteeship Council is one of the organs of the UNO which had outlived its responsibility, because all the nations of the world today has gained their independence, as there are no more trust territories for the Trusteeship Council to take care of. We have the 5th organ, which is the International Court of Justice. This court is the World Court, and it has its headquarters in Hague, Netherlands. It has 15 judges elected by the General Assembly and the Security Council. Judges are elected for a term of 9 years and could be re-elected. The decisions of this court are always binding on member states in disputes. However, in the Charter, all member nations of UNO have agreed to comply with the decisions of the court, and if a party to a case refuses to comply, the matter will be referred to the Security Council for necessary action. The International Court of Justice is the paramount judicial organ of the UNO. It hears and settles disputes between states on international level. The court gives legal advice to the UNO and the specialized agencies. It makes the decisions of the court binding on member states in disputes. The next organ that we have is the Economic and Social Council. The council is made up of 27 members of the UNO who are elected by the General Assembly. Members serve for 9 years, and settlement of issues or matters are reached by simple majority votes. The council carries out studies on issues like education, health, economic, cultural, social, and recommends same to the General Assembly and to the UNO. They also prepare reports on the activities of the UN agencies. It also makes recommendations for promoting respect for human rights and freedom for all. It calls international conferences on economic and social matter. These are the organs of the UNO as we have seen them. We will now go to the specialized agencies of the UNO. These agencies are autonomous and are existing under the banner or umbrella of the UNO. The existence of these agencies are mostly based on agreements and cooperation among a good number of states. Most of the activities of these agencies are coordinated by the Economic and Social Council, and they include the following: ILO, which stands for International Labour Organization. We have the FOA, which stands for Food and Agricultural Organization. We have the WHO, which stands for World Health Organization. We have the IBRD, that is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. We have the UNESCO, which is the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. We have the UPU, Universal Postal Union. We have the UNICEF, which stands for United Nations International Children Emergency Fund. And lastly, we have the IMF, which stands for the International Monetary Fund. What are the purposes of these agencies? Number one, to reduce international conflicts. Number two, to integrate the interests of the various nations. Number three, to promote world peace. Number four, to bring nations together. Number five, to create a world community so that nations will come together and there would be no more war, as conflicts will be resolved amicably. These are the purposes of these agencies. Then the next that we have in our discussion is the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. ECOWAS was founded on 28 May 1975 in Lagos, Nigeria. It comprised all the 16 independent nations of West Africa. Abuja is the administrative headquarters of the community, and Lome the fund headquarters. Nigeria, under leadership of General Yakubu Gowon, and Togo under President Nyadema, initiated the formation of the sub-regional economic grouping. The aims and objectives: number one, to promote cooperation and development in all fields of economic activities, example, transport, energy, agriculture, telecommunication, etc., among the member states making up the organization. Number two, to promote and raise the living standards of the people through cooperation within the sub-region. Number three, to increase and maintain economic stability within the community. Number four, to foster close relationships among member states, as this would be achieved by encouraging free movement of citizens, goods and services. Number five, it is also aimed at encouraging the progress and development of the African continent. These are some of the objectives of the Economic Community of West African States. We now go to the organs of the ECOWAS. The first organ of the ECOWAS is the Authority of Heads of the States and Governments. This is the foremost, the highest authority of the organization. It is made up of heads of state and governments within the sub-region. This organ is headed by a chairman who holds office for 1 year. This organ appoints the executive secretary of the organization. It is also the highest decision-making body of the organization. It discusses issues pertaining to the economy of the sub-region. It also approves the recommendation of the Council of Ministers. It also approves all agreements and treaties entered into by the community. It also approves proposals initiated for the amendment of the charter establishing the community. We go to the next organ, which is the Council of Ministers. This council consists of 2 ministers from each member state, and it meets twice in a year. Voting on issues is based on simple majority. Security Council implements decisions of the Assembly of Heads of States and makes recommendation. It also appoints 2 deputy executive secretaries to assist the executive secretary in his duties. It also appoints the managing director, who manages the ECOWAS fund. It also prepares the agenda for the meetings of the heads of state and government. It also recommends the appointment of the executive secretary of the organization to the authority of heads of state and government. It is also the body that approves the organization's budget. We have the third organ to be the Executive Secretariat. The Executive Secretariat is the administrative organ of the ECOWAS, located in Abuja, Nigeria. It is headed by a Secretary General, who is the principal executive officer of the community and responsible for the general administration of the community. He is assisted by 2 deputy executive secretaries. The office is for a period of 4 years and may be re-elected for another term. The Secretariat prepares the annual reports of the organization. The Executive Secretary is also the Chief Officer of Administration of the organization. The Executive Secretary also appoints members of his staff. He also supervises the preparation of the annual budget of the organization. The functions of the Secretariat includes the following. The organ is responsible for all correspondence of the community. It prepares the budget of the community. It makes arrangements for all the meetings of the community. It prepares the agenda for the meetings of the Council of Ministers. It keeps the files on all the meetings of heads of states and the Council of Ministers of the community, and also those of other organs of the community are kept in the Secretariat. It initiates the formulation of policies for efficient development of the community. It will also interest you to know that the first Executive Secretary of ECOWAS was Abubakar Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire, who served from 1975 through 1985. The next organ we have is the Fund for Cooperation, Compensation and Development. This organ has its headquarters in Lomé, Togo. It is headed by a managing director who is appointed by the Council of Ministers. This organ is to provide compensation to member states which sustained losses in the process of the application of the ECOWAS Treaty and that of free trade. Number 2, it also guarantees foreign investment proposed by member states in line with established standards and to promote the harmonization of industrial policies. The next organ is the Community Tribunal. This tribunal settles disputes among member states making up the organization on matters affecting the interpretation of the treaties that established ECOWAS. The 6th organ is the Technical and Specialized Commission. ECOWAS has 4 technical and specialized commissions, which includes the following. A. The Industry, Agriculture and Natural Resources Commission. B. the Trade, Customs, Immigration, Monetary and Payments Commission. C. The Transport, Telecommunications and Energy Commission. And D. The Social and Cultural Affairs Commission. These are the organs of the ECOWAS. We now go straight to the achievements of ECOWAS. Number 1. Customs duties that may come up in areas of exportation and importation of goods are removed. Number 2. There is the elimination of obstacles to movements of persons, services and capital. Number 3. It has also led to the elimination of administrative restrictions. Number 4. The funds are established for cooperation, compensation and development. Number 5. Its formation of ECOMOG as a peacekeeping force has helped in restoring democracy in both Liberia and Sierra Leone. Number 6. Its cooperation in culture and sports has helped member states to compete under a favorable condition and also to strengthen unity and peace. Number 7. Member states within the sub-region spoke against apartheid policy in South Africa and neo-colonialism. These are some of the achievements of the ECOWAS. We now go to the weaknesses or problems of the ECOWAS. Number 1. The political economy of member states is tied to that of their respective former colonial masters. Number 2. Official languages of member countries are foreign and varied. English, French, Portuguese, thus complicating the communication problem. Number 3. The free movements as provided by the Charter of ECOWAS is no more automatic because of its socio-economic implications for member states. Number 4. Ideological differences has also hampered the cohesiveness of the community. Number 5. Common currency problem has been a recurring issue in the affairs of ECOWAS. Foreign currencies like francs, pound sterling and dollar determine the stability of currency of member states, and there is no common currency for member states. Number 6. Frequent changes of leadership in member countries has led to political instability, which has been a major problem. Number 7. The fear of domination by larger states over smaller ones has been a barrier to the unity of the economic community of West African states. These are some of the weaknesses of ECOWAS. With this, we have come to the end of the ECOWAS, and the last discourse in our study under international organizations will be on the OPEC, which stands for Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. OPEC is made up of 13 member states, mostly developing nations of the world, and it was founded in Baghdad, Iraq in 1960. Its formation was essentially a reaction to the exploitative tendencies of multinational companies involved in oil exploration. So in 1960, some oil-producing countries came together as a way of protecting their interests and formed the OPEC. Some countries later joined the cartel to increase membership. Example, Libya joined in 1962, Algeria in 1969, Nigeria in 1971, Qatar in 1961, etc. The founding nations of the OPEC were Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Venezuela. Aims and objectives of the OPEC. Number 1. OPEC was formed to coordinate the petroleum policies of member states. Number 2, to stabilize the price of oil in the international market and thereby eliminate price fluctuations. Number 3, to ensure steady income to oil producing countries. Number 4, to ensure an efficient and uninterrupted supply of petroleum to consuming nations. Number 5, it was to fix or allocate production quota to member states. Number 6, it was also to find ways of protecting the interests of the members by ensuring that the involvement of multinational companies in oil exploration does not threaten the interest of member nations. These are the aims and objectives of the OPEC. We now look into the organs of the OPEC. The first organ of the OPEC is the conference. The conference is the highest and the most powerful of all the organs. Member states are represented by their ministers of petroleum, who leads a delegation to OPEC meetings. Meetings are held twice in a year, but extraordinary meetings may be called by the Secretary General at the instance of a member country. Each state has a single vote, and meetings can also hold outside the headquarters or in any of the member states. The conference is involved in policy formulation. It decides, most importantly, the best method of its execution or implementation. It also considers application for membership. It also approves the budgets of the organization. It also has the power to appoint the Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, etc. The appointment of the Board of Governors is approved by the conference. It also audits and examines the accounts of the organization through its auditors, which it appoints. It also draws attention of the conference to the reports and recommendations made by the Board of Governors. There are reports and recommendations on issues of interest to the organization. We have the Board of Governors to be the second organ. The Board of Governors is made up of representatives of member states. It meets twice yearly, and the proper functioning of this organization is in the hands of this body. It prepares the agenda for the meetings of the conference. It manages the affairs and the administration of the organization. Decisions are made by this body based on the reports submitted to it by the Secretary General. The board also executes issues or matters decided by the conference. The body also prepares the budget of the organization. It has the power to nominate the auditor to look into the finances of the OPEC with recommendations. The next organ, which is the third one, is the Secretariat. OPEC Secretariat is in Vienna, Austria. It is involved in the executive and administrative issues of the organization. The Secretary General serves as the head of the Secretariat, assisted by a Deputy Secretary General and other members of staff. The Secretary General stays for a term of 3 years and could be reappointed. The Secretariat is responsible for all the correspondences of the organization. It is involved in the executive issues of the organization. There are 5 departments making up the Secretariat, which are 1. Information Department, 2. Economic Department, 3. Administrative Department, and 4. Technical Department. Problems of the OPEC. The discovery of and marketing of North Sea oil and the competition posed by such is a threat to price stabilization. Member states often disagree and do not always cooperate on oil quota. Some of them produce more than the quota allocated to them. Number 3, some members express lack of loyalty in the area of decisions made and disregards its implementation. Number 4, economic depression or recession worldwide has the capacity of bringing down the price of oil. Number 5, some advanced countries are constantly into research, trying to find an alternative to oil. By this move, the price of oil is negatively affected. Number 6, frequent international crises lead to fluctuations in the price of oil. Example, the Gulf War of 1990 and 1991. Number 7, the rate at which some developed countries are storing oil is a source of worry to OPEC. It has led to a fall in the price of oil. These are the problems of the OPEC. With these which we have looked into, we have come to the end of our study on international organizations and Nigeria's membership into these organizations. We have looked into the League of Nations, the UNO. We have looked into the NEPAD. We have looked into the ECOWAS. We have looked into OPEC. We have looked into the OAU and many other ones which Nigeria are members. So with this, I am convinced that we have been able to conclude our syllabus on international organizations, and with this I would expect that every one of you should be ready at all time to answer questions from any angle relating to all this that we have studied. So having learned all this, I will request for some of you to ask questions so as to clarify you and then grant you better understanding of what we have studied. Does any of you have any question? Thank you for being part of the class.